Be very careful who you let work on your cars. I know, good mechanics are expensive, hard to find. You want to trust your uncle, brother, cousin, neighbor, whoever that you see working on cars. Be very careful. This is one example. I get calls all the time where we have to come behind somebody and clean up their mess, and it ends up causing the customer to pay way more money, way more time and effort than they should have ever had to put in it if it would have just got done right the first time. And this example is a perfect example of that. And it cost the customer time and money, it cost us time and money. It was just a bad ordeal, and we ended up being stuck with cleaning up a mess and doing our best to mitigate damage. We ended up getting the truck running good for the guy. He's very happy with it now. He's calling us back to do another job on it later. But the story, long story short, it took us several days of going through and diagnosing problems on this truck and cleaning up the mess. So how it started, it was a 2000 Chevy C3500 with a 5.7. Originally, I seen a post about it being a no start, and so we get a hold of the man to try to come and help him out with his no start. Well, it turns out he had already called a guy out. Guy came out, did a bunch of work to it, cost him a bunch of money in parts, $200 in labor. Then the guy dipped out with the truck still not working right. And he had just assumed that the guy was never able to figure out what was wrong with it and gave up on it. But it turns out the guy was on the right track, but he put cheap, crappy parts on, and he did the process wrong, did the job wrong, and ended up ruining the parts that he put on it, not fixing the truck, and then just left him to be with the messed up truck after costing him a bunch of money. So we get called in. Now the truck runs, but it runs like crap and you can't drive it. And we go to try to diagnose it, and we're told it's got a new fuel tank, a new fuel pump, and new injectors in it, new spark plugs, and new wires. So first, I find out that the timing's off. Then, while fixing the timing, I noticed that the distributor cap bolt that holds it down tight so it won't move out of time was loose, and it was able to just freely move as the engine vibrated. And while I was in there, I noticed that the distributor cap and rotor was extremely corroded and worn down, wasn't getting good connections. So like, okay, that could definitely be causing that issue. So fixed the time, replaced the distributor cap and rotor, and went ahead and changed the cam sensor since I was in there. And this is a man that, he wasn't trying to spend a lot of money on it, but he wasn't trying to spend bottom dollar. If he wanted his truck running good, he wanted it to be reliable, and he was willing to put the money that it needed to get it running right. He wasn't trying to half-ass it for $50, so there was no reason to be buying cheap, crappy parts or trying to skip things that should obviously be fixed. So we replaced the distributor cap and rotor, cam sensor, and then we noticed that it's having fuel delivery issues. It's got a brand new fuel pump, brand new fuel tank, and brand new injectors. Shouldn't be having any kind of fuel delivery problems. And going through diagnosing it, or trying to give this other man the benefit of the doubt, you know, you shouldn't be having any problems with brand new parts that are replaced. So we're trying to figure out, okay, what else could be wrong with the fuel system that this man didn't catch? And through a bunch of diagnostics and trying to figure things out, we find that the brand new parts that he'd put in got ruined. And we ended up having to go through and replace everything that he had already replaced. What happened was, this man had changed the fuel tank, the fuel pump, and the spider injectors. Because the system was contaminated, the fuel tank was full of rust and dirt and all kinds of other stuff, and it clogged everything up. So he replaced all of that, but didn't replace the fuel filter and didn't clean out the fuel lines. So whenever he tried to start the truck with the new parts, all of that rust and contamination that was in the lines and in the old filter completely flooded and clogged the new injectors and made it back through to the fuel pump. So while we're replacing and going through trying to fix all this stuff, we tried to save the parts, but the fuel pump was wired backwards. It was working overtime, extra hard, trying to send fuel through a clogged system. And through all that, it ended up killing that cheap Amazon pump. The injectors, because of how they are in the spider injectors, with a bunch of really fine screens and the nozzles being so small. We tried to clean them out the best that we could, and there was just no saving them. And so what we ended up doing is upgrading the injectors to MFI Spider injectors. That's on a lifetime warranty. So they're better injectors, they're under a lifetime warranty, and they're brand new. Changed the fuel filter, cleaned out all the lines, replaced the fuel pump with the lifetime warranty pump. So now the fuel system's all good. Then as we're going through, we find out the spark plugs that he had put in this truck were the wrong heat range, the wrong length, just the wrong plugs. So we have to replace the plugs. So we got the truck running great. Everything's going good. And bottom of the line was, we kept trying to give this guy the benefit of the doubt, but it turned out at the end of it that all of this trouble had been caused because of this man. Because if it was done right the first time, it would have fixed the problem. Because what we did was just rerun what he did, and it fixed the truck. So if he would have done it right the first time, it would have been good to go. The job had to be done twice. Different things had to be done, all because this man didn't do things right. So just be very careful who you let work on your vehicles. It was a lot of headache for us. We spent a lot of time on that truck that we couldn't make the money for, because this man had already spent all of his time and money and headache on this truck. So we couldn't take a loss. We did charge him, but we couldn't charge him for 3 full days worth of work is what it took us. So we ended up losing time and money on it. He lost a bunch of time and money on it, and it could have all been avoided if it was just done right the first time. So please be careful who you let work on your vehicles.